And there we go, I think we're live. Good evening everyone, Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and it is Saturday the, I don't know when, it's the 4th of July obviously. Pubs are open in the UK, it's American Independence Day, is it still called that? They changed it? I don't know, I'm not an American, someone tell me in the chat, I haven't got a clue. But anyway, hopefully you're all having a good evening, good day, or good morning, wherever you are in the world. And tonight we're going to be discussing why I still think that the B450 motherboards are the best option for AMD setups. You may like it, you may disagree, you may hate what I'm saying, but let's hear what you want to say in the live comments and I'll try and answer, and maybe even answer your questions. You never know, you might be that lucky. So if you can hear some noise in the background, unfortunately Kath's got a kettle boiling, but never mind, it'll be over very shortly. It is a fast boil kettle after all. And today's discussion, talk, chat, whatever you want to call it, live stream, is actually based around the review I've done today of this motherboard. This is the Gigabyte B450 Elite, which at the moment in the UK is a weirdly low price. Now, I bought this from Amazon yesterday for £89.99. So under £90 for a B450 motherboard, which, yeah, granted hasn't got the best VRM in the world. But having said that, if you're going to pair it with a Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7, you're going to have no issues whatsoever. If you're looking at overclocking the 3950X, yeah, maybe you want to get a fire extinguisher handy just in case. But realistically, it isn't that bad. It will just about do it with adequate cooling. And these days, who hasn't got a ton of fans in their system? I have, even the one behind me, which you can possibly see. There's 3 in the front, big one on the CPU and another one next to it. So even if that thing was starting to cook itself a little bit, the downdraft cooler and the rear fans are going to take care of that anyway. So we've got no issues there. So I suppose I should say hello to some of the riffraff that are in the chat already. And who have we got with us tonight? So we've got Angry Doge was first, as is generally the case. Either Angry Doge or Ghost Adder generally tends to be the first. Pippin Dave Burns just by a few milliseconds. And Dave Burns retorts with you. Nax is with us. Finally caught a stream. He's bought he's bought an X570, but we're going to watch the stream anyway. Well, if you bought an X570, you've got nothing to worry about there. I think the X570, especially for certain higher end processors or mid-range processors, is a really, really good foundation for any AMD system. Even if you're going for a lower end processor like the maybe Ryzen 5 3600. It's a great motherboard setup, great platform, and really there isn't a bad X570 board on the market. Even the MSI Pro, give it its dues, it's not the best VRM, but it still is a really good motherboard and it's fully featured. And of course it's got PCI Express version 4, so if you've got one of those nice new fast NVMe drives, then it's going to be absolutely awesome. What's that? Dave Burns says, Mike tends to gasp for an hour about Greta, the world saver, and the price of Tic Tacs. Yeah, I don't recall mentioning Tic Tacs, but maybe we should try that. Who else is in the chat? So Ricardo's in the chat as always. Nice to see Ricardo. Ghost Adder's in as well. Good to see the Discord crew in the house. Ghost Adder. Who else we got? Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny has just bought a PC with a A320 chipset. Should have gone B450, but wasn't in the budget. A320 boards generally do okay. For the low end and mid-range chips, still absolutely fine. And most AMD processors now using precision boost overclocking, they run just fine. So I wouldn't feel bad about having an A320. And if you can't afford a B450, then what else are you going to do? Skystalker is in with us. Skystalker, one of our valued patrons and also Discord members. And actually, talking of Discord, this week we've actually got a new group of, well, the first actual group of Mike's Unboxing moderators. So we're very pleased. Patreon, Discord, this basically, yeah, Discord is what I'm trying to say. On our Discord, we've got moderators now. The Discord is starting to grow a little bit, and it's nice to have some steady hands watching over the ship whilst we're unavailable or sleeping or whatever we're doing. So this week we've got Dave Aitken, we've also got Skystalker, we've also got Seaman Knight, and who's the last one, Kath? Help me out here. Glenn Glenn is also, God, my brain today, a little bit fried. Been a long day, been doing lots of video work today, lots of editing, and it's like 9 o'clock and my brain is fried, completely fried. So yeah, join with us in welcoming those new moderators to our Discord. Hopefully they, well, those of you that go on the Discord, you'll know them all anyway, and you'll agree with me that they are fantastic choices and an excellent group. And obviously, as things go on, as we expand, we'll be adding more moderators to the ranks. So yeah, it's an ongoing project, and it's a really nice place. So if you want to talk chat or just talk trash or take the mickey out of the British noob, or Ubi1 Kenobi as he's now called, feel free to join us on there. Someone will put a link in the chat. Richard's in the house. There's new Coca-Cola flavoured Tic Tacs out at the moment.
Is that like Mentos?
Awesome. Reader High Guy is in the house as well. I've got an MSI X470 Gaming Plus Max to go with a Ryzen 3 3200G, which I'll upgrade. Am I okay for a BIOS update for Zen 3 one day? Yep, I would have thought so. I think you're all good there. Malon22 says, what are some B450 motherboards that work with Ryzen 3 2000G without a BIOS update? Realistically, pretty much every single board. That chip has been out so long now. Essentially, it is a 2000 series chip, just with a weirdly modified name. So I don't think you'll find a board on the market at the moment. Even the older B350s and probably the A320s, B350s, X370s. They should all now, if they're being sold as new, should support that chip easily. Japan One's in the house says hi. Matthew Bennett is with us and probably eating pizza, I would imagine, or something along those lines. Mr. Morrigan says, built my first own PC in a few years, got the ASRock B450 Pro 4 because of your video. Awesome, hope you're enjoying it. It's a great little board actually, and if you can pick it up at the right price, again, around about the same sort of level of VRM quality as the B450 Aorus Elite, slightly less elaborate aesthetics, but still really good choice, great foundation for a system. ClickTech Kev's in the house, Discord crew, represent. Russell Jeanquim, I think I may have obliterated your name, I do apologise. Russell's in the house as well. It says, hey Mike, I finally ordered a GameMax F15M from CCL. And after 2 weeks it took to arrive. Yeah, CCL being CCL. Can't wait to move over PC parts into the new case. Now actually that's something we're going to be doing in the very near future. Noctua reached out to us and said, Mike, what's your plans? What are you doing? Is there anything we can help you with? And actually I've thought to myself, there's something that should have been done to the GameMax F15M that wasn't done when it came out. And that is a blacked out version. Yeah, it's great to have all those RGBs on there, but even if you turn all the RGB off, you've still got those clear or opaque fan blades and the surrounds. So it looks a little bit cheap when the RGB's not in full flow. So I thought it'd be a really good idea to redesign the case or rebuild the case and do a kind of monochrome build in there, like something a little bit stealthier, not so blingy, not so in your face, and a little bit more kind of, I dare say, grown up. So we're going to be going with a full Noctua setup in there, fans, coolers, everything Chromax blacked out to the max, and hopefully it's going to make the F15 even better than it already is. So yeah, be looking out for that in the coming what's-evers. Yeah, coming videos, that was what I meant to say. And who else have we got in there? I think that's pretty much everybody said hello to. Misra1898 says, hi Mike, greetings from Mexico. Wow, Mexico. What time of day is it over in Mexico right now? I'm trying to think what the time delay is. About 8 hours difference, I think, isn't it? Russell Walton says, I made my own pizza tonight. Lovely jubbly. I'm starving now. I've deliberately not eaten. I had some dinner, and I've not had anything for like tea or supper. I'm starving. I might have to fill up on Carlsberg. Malone22 says, is the ASRock B450M-HDV R4.0 worth it for a cheap APU build? Yeah, definitely. It's a great little board, and if you can pick it up at the right price, all it comes down to these boards these days is it at the right price? We've seen so many companies and distributors, all those kinds of things, all of them just price gouging the heck out of these parts. I know there's a kind of global pandemic going on and things are all a little bit weird and there's supply and demand issues, but really some of these prices are just getting way out of hand. Now, I've just noticed actually before I came into the stream, one of our viewers and friends from UK Hot Deals, Mr. Simon Arden, I believe. Yes, that's right, yes. Sarden84, whatever. Anyway, he just posted literally before we came on air. And if I see if I can find it. All right, yeah, the ASRock B550M-HDV is now order on request from CCL, it appears, for, sorry, Novatech rather, here in the UK, for £87.59, which seems like an odd price. Hopefully that's not just a placeholder, but that is the actual delivered price as well, because they don't really do free delivery or anything. So £87.59 for a ASRock B550M-HDV may not be a bad shout. Although, saying that, the HDV boards generally tend to be a little bit lower down the line, miss out on features such as RGB and extra cooling and decent VRMs and all that. So again, £2 dearer for the B450 Aorus Elite. See where I'm going with this? The B450 is still kicking B550's ass when it comes to value for money, in my opinion. Obviously, do you really need PCI Express 4? Do you really? Most of you, me included, if I had a PCI Express 3 drive and a PCI Express 4 drive, unless I did a benchmark, I think I'd be really hard pressed to notice a difference or even work out which one was which. I've seen a few YouTube videos where people have done blind tests on different systems, and it generally always is the same. It's very difficult to work out differences in monitors, FPS, and data transfer especially. Unless you've got a really specific app, maybe video editing or something, and rendering, where it is actually either CPU or SSD heavy or storage heavy, you might notice a few seconds shaved off here and there. But realistically, it comes down to benchmarks. And again, we all love benchmarks, they're great, and it's always one of those things we're trying to overclock our systems or tweak our systems to get the most performance out of it and compare numbers with other people and say, oh, well, I'm getting this. And they're like, well, how'd you do that? So, well, if you do this, this, and this, and that is what the PC community is all about, sharing information, doing things together, working out what are the best settings for stuff. That is one of the key features of the PC ecosystem. So it is nice to be able to do those things, but is it absolutely necessary? For most of us that are on a really tight budget, and especially now COVID's kicked in, a lot of people are finding themselves maybe working less hours, earning less money, maybe you're furloughed, maybe you're kind of a bit unsure where your career or your job is going, money might be a bit tight. So maybe sticking to older boards, which are tried and tested, might be the way forward. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Excuse me, I'm going to have a drink because sore throat. Cheers, everybody. Join me for a beer, a Coke, or whatever it is you're drinking. Oh, looking down, look, to my surprise, Mike's Unboxing dual action pen and stylus. Now, if you're wondering what this is about, it's a bit of an on-running joke. Basically, I'm peddling these on our patrons. So if you're a patron and you support us with a $5 pledge, after your first billing cycle, we'll send you a Mike's Unboxing dual action pen and stylus as a sign of our appreciation. Can't say fairer than that, can we? It's a nice little pen actually, and I got to be honest with you, I use mine daily. It's really handy. Today, the Amazon guy came round, and we're in that kind of not post-COVID, kind of we're coming towards the end of the COVID thing, where people are starting to now ask you to actually sign for stuff. So I pulled out my Mike's Unboxing pen, got a stylus on the end, and on the little tablet, happy days, I was a happy bunny. And he looked at me as if to say, why the hell are you smiling like some kind of idiot? I probably should have answered that question for him, but maybe next time when he turns up, I'll say to him, have you tried one of these Mike's Unboxing pens? Only $5 and you get one sent to you after your first billing cycle. Ah dear. Anyway, moving on. Let's have a look. Paul Bakewell says cheers. Cheers guys. Junk from work. Sky Stalker says beer, yay. Right on. A lettuce in the house. Good evening, Aletta, you famous gun-wielding crazy person from the United States of America. We love you very much. There was a funny conversation actually Aletta was having with somebody on, I think it was the last video we released on Friday, was it Friday's? The Microsoft one? There was some person came on and started talking about self-defense and stuff. So that gave Aletta the perfect opportunity to start discussing guns and general destruction, which was very, very entertaining. So thank you for that. ClickTech Kev says, sell me that pen. Okay, easily done. I need a piece of paper, need a piece of paper. Need a piece of paper, got a piece of paper? Kath?
No,
next to your, there's something there, reminds me. Thank you very much. This is easy to do. Okay, sell me this pen. Sign here, please. It works every time. You need a pen. Wolf of Wall Street, if you haven't seen it, watch it, it's great.
You should read the next comment before you go off.
Funky Money says, stop wasting time with this meta commentary, e-begging, and answer the questions, Mike. Oh, okay, that seems reasonable.
Meta commentary.
Hmm? Meta.
Is it?
I don't know. I didn't see a question. Let's have a scroll back up and see if... Oh, Frankie.
You've misled them.
Frankie Money says, do you know John Senchak? Don't think so. Doesn't ring a bell. No, don't think so. Oh, there's, I've missed loads of questions. Okay, never mind. David Aiken says, 54 viewers tonight already. Clearly the Mike's Unboxing bar is much better than the rest of the pubs right now. Yeah, the whole pub thing opening up is a little bit of a weird thing. I'm not sure how people feel about it. It's very strange. So no, John Senchak. Should I know John Senchak? I don't know. I don't think so. Do you know him? That is the question. Junk from Work says, by the time I need PCIe 4 DDR5 is going to be in the commonplace, so in home PC, so you have to upgrade anyway. Good point. Junk from Work also says, I think I'm going to go B550 because I can't find stock on B450 in Canada. Maybe you should speak to Skystalker. He's really good and he's kind of in that neighborhood-ish. Maybe he could help you out there. Paul Baycross says, give them out as prizes tonight. No way, no way. Do you know how much these things cost? Maybe. Maybe another night.
Die. As in night and day.
Frankie Money says, well, I appreciate your time. Oh, thanks. I appreciate yours. That's why I answer questions. Eventually, when I see them.
You've missed loads as well, haven't you?
Possibly. Also, Frankie says, you're the man, Mike. I'm not, but thank you anyway. Let's scroll back up. I've probably missed some questions there. Russell Walton says, what's the Patreon link? That's, oh, Kath's just done it. Thank you, Kath. Aletta says, General Destruction is my favourite game. We're not allowed to play that game over here because if you pull a gun out in the UK, there's a strong chance you're either going to get arrested, shot, or worse.
I got stopped once when the kids had plastic swords going to the shops.
Kath actually got stopped by an officer taking...
An old man.
Oh, was it? Oh, that's not as exciting. Can I dramatise it a little bit? Kath got stopped by armed policemen when the kids had plastic swords walking to playgroup.
Which the library had given them. True
story. Ish. The library gave it to them. Damn librarians. Junk from Work says, Mike, would you be open to do a private PC building session? I have no problem tossing you a few bucks. I just have questions about hardware selection and whatnot. Well, Junk from Work, yes, of course we could do that. But to be honest with you, you're probably better off just joining us on a Discord. you can join the Discord. It's free of charge, and there's some really helpful people on there. Literally, we can guide you through pretty much everything you want to do. As long as you've got a phone or some means of taking pictures, so you can send us pictures of what you're doing, then we can talk you through what you need to do. An excellent example of that was, I think was it yesterday? Might have been yesterday, might have been the day before, I don't know, I'm really confused. But there was somebody come on and had the RGB 100 lit case, which from Sharking, which normally would reside there, but is currently awaiting a new motherboard. And they were having real troubles getting the RGB to work. Now luckily, because I've got some experience of it, I couldn't remember it all and I didn't have the case open, so I couldn't look inside to see what was going on. But we went through, I think there was about 3 or 4 of us, all chipping in with various ideas to try and help this guy through. And he was quite a noob to it, didn't really know what he was doing, what was going on. So between us, we all kind of chipped in and offered constructive kind of criticisms and ways of fault finding the system. And eventually, after a little while, which took a little bit longer than we expected, but at the end of it, the outcome was that the RGB worked as intended and they were super happy. So that's what our Discord is all about. We're not just kind of criticizing people or whatever. Literally, if people need help, you can come onto the Discord. You don't have to be a member for any amount of time or anything. Literally just come in, sign up to the rules, agree to the rules, go into the technical questions section, put in your question, that's it. And there's a group of people that are ready, willing and poised and will help you out as much as they can. So do feel free to join us. It is a really cool place to hang out. Well, I wouldn't say cool because we're all kind of techie nerds, but you know what I mean. So hopefully that answers your question. Cupper Digger says, I got a B450M Bazooka Max Wi-Fi for $90. Paired it with a $120 3300X. Can't be more satisfied. Awesome. The 3300X is actually quite something of a ninja processor when it comes to gaming. For productivity tasks, not so much because obviously 4 cores, 8 threads, but it really does pack in a punch in gaming. I think I saw Hardware Unboxed did a video today where they're comparing various processors at various speeds with different graphics cards and bottlenecks and all that kind of stuff. I think it was the Ryzen 5 1600AF, the 3300X, maybe the 3100X, and the Ryzen 5 3600X, and looking at kind of where the bottlenecks are. And yeah, the 3300X actually done really well. So yeah, you got yourself a decent setup there. The thing that which really annoys me at the moment is the fact that CPU prices are so close to motherboard prices. It's not even funny anymore. It used to be that you'd buy a processor and apart from your graphics card, generally the processor would be probably your most expensive purchase. And prior to graphics cards and probably prior to mining, I think the mining craze is what started to push graphics cards up to crazy prices. And maybe I think probably the release of the 1080 Ti as well. That was when things started breaking that kind of $1,000 range for a crazy ass card. But prior to that, we used to always have the thing where maybe your graphics card and your processor would probably be relatively level pegging. So you could buy like a $300 graphics card, which would be the top of the range. You'd buy a $300 processor, which would be pretty much top of the range as well. And your motherboard would be maybe $100, $150. Whereas now it's like $150 for the motherboard, at least $150 for the processor, if not less, and then the graphics card at kind of $300, $400. It's really weird, and it does upset me. It generally does. Mohammed says, I'm at the final moments of purchasing. Should I go for B450 or X470 for a 3700X if it matters? Truthfully, without knowing the exact models of boards you're going for, is really difficult to say. There's some really bad B450s and there's some really good B450s. The X470 is potentially going to give you more overclocking headroom for a 3700X, but without knowing the individuals of the boards is quite a difficult one to go into in a great deal of detail. Mohammed Anis Kamran, hopefully I've said that correctly, said, when is your next build? Well, actually the next build is probably going to be possibly tomorrow, maybe Monday, I'm not sure. because I've got to put the board into a case, or the case, and I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with that yet. I'm in two minds. I've got a couple of systems kind of in various states at the moment, so I'm not entirely sure what to do. I am tempted to try and find myself another case to build that into, just to switch gears a little bit and try something a little bit new. So if there's any case you want to see me review, let us know in the comment section what case is, and if one stands out as being a particularly kind of valuable thing for you viewers to watch, then I'll go ahead and buy one. Or alternatively, CAF will email the company in question and plead, beg, and basically give up all of our dignity so we get a free one to review.
So we'll buy one.
So we'll buy one. Yeah. Craig Bowler says, "Even all, good evening." And Terry Broderick says, "Hi." Nack says, "I can't justify £1,000 for a GPU. I'd rather lower a few settings than pay that price." I gotta be honest with you, I'm in exactly the same position. I could quite easily I'll tell you where I am at the moment. I'm looking at motherboards, looking at processors, looking at setups. I want to build something different. I want to do something different because I've got a Ryzen 5 2600, I've got a Ryzen 5 3600, and I've got a 1700X. I've also got a 2200G, which is running the system behind me. I really want a Ryzen 7 3700X, but the more I look at it, and I look at the £100 difference between that and the Ryzen 5 3600, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. The Ryzen 5 3600 for me is totally the sweet spot in the AMD lineup at the moment. So spending the extra 100 on the 3700X, yes, it would give me some extra cores and some extra threads. Essentially, it's the same clock speed. So most things gaming wise is going to be exactly the same. Now, gaming wise, those of you that know me, I know that there's probably 3 games I play on a regular basis. That's CSGO, Far Cry New Dawn, and Rocket League. So those are my 3 titles, and essentially Counter-Strike is CPU limited, Far Cry likes CPUs, likes a little bit of frequency, and Rocket League can run on essentially a potato as long as it's got a decent graphics card. So I don't actually need the processor, but for video editing it would be really handy. But now that Adobe have unleashed the power of the graphics cards for hardware rendering as well as hardware playback and scrubbing, my videos render in ridiculously quick times. As you know, if you watch the channel, my videos are crap basically. I throw them together, a little bit of fancy editing, well actually not even fancy, a little bit of basic editing, and it is what it is. There's not a lot that goes into it. It's normally just a couple of things, a couple of fades and a couple of cuts. That is about the limit of it. There's no After Effects, no real advanced features at all. So the videos render in about 3 or 4 minutes.
Best thing in the outtakes and the ends.
Yeah, the outtakes are actually probably the highlight of the video, to be fair. So I don't really feel that I need an upgrade on my graphics card. That does well. It's the GTX 1070. I don't really need a faster processor. Yes, it would be nice to have, but I don't think it would really be justified for the extra £100. It's a really, really weird market at the moment. I want to buy stuff, and I really want to be impressed and have that wow factor, but realistically at the moment, I can't see there is anything. Maybe we've got a few more things coming out in the future in the next couple of months, but there's nothing really that stands out saying, right, I need that, that is great, that is excellent value for money. There's like this power triangle, it's either like good, value for money, and something else. And you never get all 3 of them. It's always like something isn't right. So yeah, if it's fast and good, it's not going to be cheap, and you know what I mean. It's a bad point. I don't like it. I need something new and exciting to come out on the market. It was like when home automation started out, and it was like, I don't need home automation, but some of the kit is actually pretty cool and it's relatively cheap, so I'll give it a go. Then you try it and it's like, yeah, this is all right, and it works, and you don't regret spending the money. But if I went and bought like a Ryzen 9 3900X and put it into my system, for what is now 350, 400 pounds, I'd be thinking, well, I could have bought 2 or 3 Ryzen 5 3600s for that and built 2 systems. It just doesn't make sense, and I want to do it.
But you're tight.
Yeah, I am tight. Let's Kath summed it up there. I am tight. I'm not tight. I just don't like spending money unnecessarily or without a tangible value. Like, I drive an old car from what, 2008. It still runs. I barely use it, so why buy another car? It works generally. Hopefully it'll pass an MOT. But that's what it's like. It's, I don't know. Oh, Skystalker says, oh yeah, David Egan says the tan overlay filter takes a bit of rendering. That is true. That is true. Paul McCarthy, I always say that, I do apologise. The only benefit of a 3700X over the 3600 is raw CPU power for rendering video, etc. Yeah.
Aiden Hill's looking at water cooling up there.
Oh, I missed something. Kath says. I've missed loads of stuff because I've been rabbiting on like some kind of idiot.
But not about Greta.
I haven't mentioned Greta yet. Aiden Hill, was that the one?
Yeah.
Aiden Hill says, I've been looking at water cooling my 5700 XT. However, there's a real lack of any sort of expandable AIO style system to add a water block. But I'm afraid a 120mm rad with a small res won't be enough.
Aletta is kind of on it.
Yeah, Aletta is your man for that, definitely. Ricardo says, if anyone knows if the Ryzen 3000 XT series will have support in B450 or X470 series. Yes, I believe they will. I don't see any reason why they will. Essentially, the XT is just a slightly overclocked version of the existing chip. So for the EGESA or a EGESA code, essentially it's going to be the same thing. Paul McCarthy says 37x marginal FPS for gaming over 3600. Mohammed says best 30 to 40 pounds case. In the UK, I would definitely say the one behind me, the AZ10 from Ions. That's an amazing little case. Considering it costs like 26, 27 pounds or something, like if it was junk, I wouldn't have it up on my desk. I really wouldn't. And actually, if I spin it round, I think it looks pretty dope. If that is a thing. I'm down with the ute. When I say ute, you can see it. Just about, if I don't move my head. Actually, if I go that way, which way have I got to go to?
Yeah,
I'm getting confused. There we go. Okay, so you can see the case. I think it looks pretty decent. I like it. I really do. And it's annoying because if a case costs 20 odd pounds, 27 pounds give or take, yes, I have put an absolute ton of Sahara cooling fans in there, which actually I do think look really, really nice. So all in all, it's probably cost, well, more than 27 pounds, put it that way. I think it looks really good and it runs really cool. It does really run really cool. And it doesn't seem to pick up much dust. The mesh filter on the front seems to be it's a different kind of mesh filter. If you check out the review video that you can see, but rather than being circles or hexagons, it's actually slits. And I think the dust actually finds it really difficult to get through there. Air doesn't seem to, but dust does. Copper Digger says the 3700X comes with that RGB cooler, which some people are really interested in, and could be sold for 40 to 50 pounds, or dollars rather. Otherwise, yeah, the 3600 is likely to be the better option price-wise. It's true. It is true. It is really, really upsetting. There's nothing really that you can justifiably buy, which makes a big difference now. The product stack has got so kind of odd. You've got these XT chips which are coming out. You've got the Ryzen 5 3500, which is kind of an oddball, which performs really, really well. Limited availability. You can buy it on AliExpress and stuff like that, but that is a really, really good little chip. But essentially, yeah, you've got your 3300X at the kind of lower end. A little bit more, you got the 3600. Then the 3700 doesn't really make a great deal of sense. The 3800 definitely doesn't, because that's just an overclocked version. If you can get it at the right price, I suppose it makes sense. And then you jump up to the Ryzen 9 series, which is insane. But if you need that much power, then it's all good. I would quite like one, but again, I don't think it's for me. Let's have a look. So Matthew Day says, I'm still rocking an i7 3770. Now got another set of RAM to make the rolling upgrades go and get me to an i7 4790. GTX 1060 GPU does me okay. That is where we're at. We've got to such a point where the whole ecosystem, everything is so fast. It's just there isn't really need for anything any faster.
You can't answer the average boy's question. It's just a constant question. Same.
Oh, was it? What was it?
Cheaper to put 2700 or 3600. A little costlier. Which one do I get? Please pick my question.
Right. Okay.
There's just so many of them.
So the average boy, IGK, despite spamming the crap out of the comment section, which normally would result in a instant ban, but seeing that the question is actually quite relevant, and I'm a relatively fair person, although our kids would probably disagree with that. That is actually a good question. Now, what was the processor? The Ryzen 7 2700X or the standard 2700?
You can't reply because he's in timeout for a bit.
Oh, he's in timeout, okay. Oh, actually, I can view the deleted comment. I have the power. Okay, so 2700 or the 3600, little costlier, which one do I get? So that is actually quite a tough one. It depends what you're using it for. If it's for gaming, 3600, guaranteed, that is the way to go. If you're video editing, the 2700 may be beneficial in certain applications like Cinebench, type, that kind of thing. Anything that needs lots of cores, lots of threads, the 2700 is going to annihilate the 3600 in those sort of tasks. But if it's for general purpose, gaming, a little bit of video editing maybe, so I use the 3600 every day for video editing. It does absolutely fine. As long as you've got a decent GPU to go with it, then yeah, my money would be the 3600. Again, as long as you've got a motherboard that actually supports it, you should be fine. Don't cheap out on a board, or at least not too cheap. A320 I probably would avoid. Entry-level B450s I would probably be hesitant about. The ASRock B450 Pro 4, the B450 RS Elite, the Gaming X version, the B450 Gigabyte is also a really good board, and is, to be honest with you, the Gaming X is essentially exactly the same, apart from it doesn't have the plastic shroud over the I/O, doesn't have the built-in I/O shield, and it doesn't have a cooler for the M.2 drive. But other than that, both boards are extremely similar, and the Gaming X I think at the moment is about £80, give or take a few pence. So for the £10 more, this is probably the better value for money. But again, if you can pick it up a bit cheaper, then, well, yeah. Things get really different depending where you are in the world, what the availability is like and what the pricing is like. That is always going to come down. Some people are on like a ridiculously tight budget where they literally cannot move. They've got a set amount of money and that is it. So you have to be really careful, and sometimes saving £5–10 is the difference between actually getting the system or not. So it comes down to things like that.
Seem at Night's good on this bargains.
Yeah, if you're looking for bargains, Seam at Night on the Discord, he's pumping those discounts in all the time. I try to as much as I can, but time is limited, so I do try and post the deals. But yeah, Seam at Night probably posts, I don't know, maybe 5 deals a day at least, if not more. Let's have a look. Oh, Kev asked the question there. ClickTech Kev says, how's the Sahara cooler holding up? Do you know what? I was very surprised. When I did a live stream not long ago where I was testing various coolers, and the Sahara that I reviewed at the time, or was it the Thermaltake one? It might have actually been the Thermaltake one I did rather than the Sahara. I was under the impression, because they look identical, they come in the same packaging, I was under the impression that they would both perform identically. And either I was being a dipshit when I did the Thermaltake one, or the Sahara one is actually manufactured differently, but it actually seems to be really good. I've tested it with, there's a Ryzen 3 2200G under there at the moment. I've also tried it with the Ryzen 5 2600, and actually, weirdly, it performs really, really well. And because this is a downdraft cooler, it cools the VRMs as well, which obviously gives you benefits for things like boost clocks and what have you. So I've done a little bit of testing with it after the fact, and yeah, I'd probably have to backtrack a little bit on the Sahara R20 cooler. It is actually pretty decent. I was thinking it was maybe a pretty alternative to the stock cooler, but actually it does go way in advance of what the stock cooler can do. So yeah, Sahara, my apologies. And in this particular setup, it actually looks really good. At least I think so. Lucas Olives, do you like the new B550? No. I'm not convinced at the moment, I'm really not. That is a big problem. If the B550 boards come out, like if a B550 Tomahawk cost £120, not far off what the previous version cost, I'd be all over it. If it cost maybe 130, maybe. But I nearly bought a Asus X570 Pro P, or is it the Pro? The cheaper one of the two. There's a Pro and a P, I think. Yeah, there's the P version, which is the cheaper one. That's about 170 at the moment on Amazon, which I actually think is pretty decent pricing. It's not great. It's COVID pricing, definitely, and it's probably only worth maybe 140, 150. But again, it's an X570 with PCI Express 4, full-size board, all the bits and pieces you want, no restrictions. But then you've got these other B550 boards, which maybe 120, 130, and they're essentially bargain basement. It doesn't make any sense, it really doesn't. Cafan R6 says, I just bought the Asus Tough Gaming Plus. Good choice, nice board. Slightly lacking in the addressable RGB front, but other than that, very good. An addressable RGB isn't all that, is it? Especially if you're using noctua fans or maybe Arctic cooling or something like that, which doesn't have RGB. Just reading about some plastic dipping motherboards, so that's something that I've not thought of. Lonely Stoner says, my B550 board has been on back order since release. Man, it sucks. Yeah, a lot of boards are still pre-order. I think it was is it the 7th or 8th of July that stock is supposed to be available, delivered. Be interesting to see what happens with the pricing after that. Chris Franklin says, could I use the Ryzen 7 3700 with the B450? Depends which B450 board, but generally pretty much all of them will, well actually every single B450 rather, will support that chip. Whether or not it's good for that chip is another matter. Aidan Hill says, eventually you get tired of having RGB fans going constantly for years. You yearn for something more simple. Hence my GameX F15 rebuild.
The average boy is out of timeout.
Average boy's out of timeout. You're not on the naughty step anymore. I am watching only your channel in COVID lockdown. You do good reviews of motherboards. Oh, thank you. It's possibly not that accurate, but thank you anyway. If you get any chance to get hands on ASRock B550 ITX. I got to be honest with you, who did we speak to? Was it?
MSI, I think.
No, not MSI, it was InWin. InWin are supposedly sending us their new B1 case, which is the little tiny ITX one with the tempered glass and what have you. So I am going to have to get an ITX board to go in that build. So the ASRock ITX B550 is actually one that I've been looking at. So we might reach out to ASRock, see if they can supply us a review sample, but if they can't, then I might have to dig deep and go and grab one. XXXYYY says, I'm happy with B550M Mortamax. Yeah, that's a good little board. Grover Clark says, Mike, what do you think about the new AMD APU lineup? I think it's actually quite exciting what potentially we've got coming with the 4000 series. Even they're technically not a 4000 series because they're revamped 3000 series with the 4000 naming thing. I think the 4700 is the one to look out for. I think that is going to be an absolute monster. And for most people, I think that is all they're going to need. It is a reasonably powerful setup, loads of cores, loads of threads, potentially very, very low wattage processor, fantastic for ITX builds, fantastic for little desktops, low noise systems, going to be really good. Yeah, that is one thing actually I'm really excited about. I think they'll be very good. Underscope J says, is the Asus ROG B450 good? Yes and no. It depends what you want out of a board. The B450 Republic of Gamers board is a decent board. It's not a bad board. There's the B450F, which essentially has got the same level of VRMs as the B450 Aorus Elite, the Pro 4 ASRock, the Steel Legend ASRock, the Gaming Max MSI. There's a load of them all with a very, very similar sort of 4-phase setup with doublers and all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for serious overclocking, generally it's not a great board to choose for that. Is it going to run pretty much every processor? Yes, it should do without any major issues. Overclocking a 3950X is not a good idea on those sorts of boards. Any B450 board is going to struggle in that kind of workload, apart from possibly the MSI Carbon Pro, the Max version maybe. Tomahawk will do it, but again, is going to need a little bit of extra cooling. So there isn't really a B450 board which will cope underneath those kinds of circumstances without a little bit of extra help. I don't know if that's answered your question or not. It kind of hopefully has a little bit. Alex Adrian says, I'm looking for an MSI B450 Pro A Max. Is it any good? I gotta be honest with you, yes, it is. On paper, it's a pretty decent board, and again, it's a very good substitute for this sort of thing, the Aorus Elite, Steel Legend, all those kinds of things. The thing that gets me with that particular board is how the price is shot up. If it was around about £70, I think it would be a fantastic value for money. At £80, it kind of not so great. There currently is like £100 here in the UK from what I can see. For £100, no, it definitely needs to be able to do more than that. Actually, ClickTech Kev actually did a review on that board a little while back, so if you want to check out his thoughts on it, maybe Kev can put a link in the video description so you can check it out. It is one that I actually wanted to get that board purely for the fact that after Kev's review, I thought, yeah, that's not a bad board, it looks decent. But since the review, the prices have gone through the roof, and I can't justify it, I really can't, as much as I would really like one. Aidan Hill says, those APUs need some more graphic performance to be truly an alternative, in my opinion. It probably, yeah. The hell was that?
Washing machine.
Oh, washing machine. I thought we had water cooling in the kitchen for some reason.
Yeah, it's my water
Awesome.
cooler for my trainers.
Water cooler trainers. Sorry, I lost my track of thought there altogether. Skystalker says, Mike's unboxing reviews and how to. That's me. You really need to do a B550 build. I want to see your impression. The one platform I have not built on.
If we could get hold of one.
If I could get hold of one, actually, Kath, right on my board or somewhere, I'm going to get the ASRock B550 HDV. If Novatech are doing it for £87, Novatech have always been one of those places I've actually liked to shop at. So as long as Amazon don't pip them at the post with some free Prime delivery goodness, then B550 HDV. HDV? Yeah, that's the one. There you go, Skystalker. just for you, and for probably about 5 or 6 other people. I will get that board, and we'll see what it's like. I'm pretty confident that it's going to be essentially exactly the same as this, and like I said, the Steel Legend Pro 4 levels of performance. I can't see it being any better. It might have slightly better memory support, but then that is generally baked into the chip. So depending on what processor I'm going to put in it, that is, yeah. So actually, now I've said that, I've talked myself into buying a high-end processor to test it in. Damn you. Craig Bowler says, I have a 3700X and it's pointless. I'm using MSI Pro Carbon and it's automatic overclocked. Yeah, it is. Precision boost overclocking will, on most 3000 series chips, take the chip pretty much to the limit of what is reasonably expected out of it. Silicon lottery kind of allowing, you may get a few more 100 megahertz here and there, but generally precision boost overclock is actually taking away a lot of the need for overclocking. If you've got a really good cooler and decent airflow, most of these chips will boost up to pretty spectacular clock speeds. Kenny D says, I feel like AMD made a mess of the B550. It came too late and is pretty overpriced. Kenny, you got my vote. I'm with you all the way. Yeah, Junk from Work agrees with you as well. Aletta agrees as well. We're all in agreed. Down with the B550. Let's boycott it all. Actually, no, I've just said I'm going to buy one. Damn you. Split personality.
Boycott it all and hike it down.
Yeah. Aletta says, I don't see the point of B550s. Not when there are some X570s that are priced the same or less with more features. Totally. That is summed it up in one thing. It literally has. And we've got a super chat. I can't see who it is, so I have to scroll down. British Noob just popped in for the dislike. Bitch. So for those of you who don't know what the hell's going on, we get super chats come in, and when it happens, as a notification, so don't ignore it, the RGB light comes on. This RGB light was one of the best investments I ever made for the channel. This is about £8 on Amazon. Links will be provided, affiliate links below. And yeah, basically, if you give us a donation, then you get to see the RGB light for a little bit. Can't forget to get up and turn the lights off. It's all part of our shtick, if that is a thing. And Noob, if you have put a dislike on the video, I am actually going to come round to your house. And looks like someone else is getting on the act as well. So Skystalker has put in 10 Canadian dollars. Bless you, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Actually, I kind of like the lighting like this. It's a little bit moody, a bit atmospheric.
That's the beer glasses.
Or is it my beer glasses? That's what it is. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you all very much. Appreciate that. And we've got Brytech09 is in the chat as well. Good evening to Mr. Brytech. For those of you who don't know who Brytech09 is, he is the, how should I say, he is the granddaddy of tech on YouTube. So go and check out his channel and give him a couple of likes and thumbs up and all that kind of good stuff. He's done a lot for us, helped us out in the past, and generally an all-round good guy. Matthew Day says, just hunted for pictures of the R20 cooler. Looks like it's a crushed plates design with no insert. I guess that style depends on a really good paste coverage, as the IHS has to spread the heat. Yeah, that was why I thought the R20 cooler wasn't going to be particularly good, because literally all those fins are sandwiched together and there's a relatively small surface area for the IHS to make contact with. So when I think when I first tested it, I probably used some like really crap paste like this, like I think it was like HY710, or maybe, no, actually it was the older one, it was the HY510, which is fine, it's easy to clean up and that, but it's not a particularly good thermal compound. So when I tried it in the system that's behind me now, I actually put some MX4 on there, and I wasn't expecting any particular improvement. I thought it's just, yeah, it's that cooler. It works with the ecosystem that's in there, so I'll go with it. And so that's what I did. And then weirdly, it's actually running really, really well, and I don't know why. I don't get it. It's very It's very bizarre. Very bizarre. Let's go back to the questions. Average Boy says, will B550 and X570 support Ryzen 4000? Probably. That is about the best answer we can give you at the moment. Nobody, apart from probably a few high up people at the ranks in AMD, obviously motherboard manufacturers, Gigabyte, Asus and all that, they will know what the deal is and they will go for it. But we haven't been told officially. It's extremely likely that is going to be the case, but I think that will be limited to motherboard manufacturers updating the BIOSes when they see fit. David Aitken is give us £2.50 on the super chat and says, please never mention your Lego misplacement again.
Oh no.
Yeah, that Lego, painful stuff. Don't run on it or try and insert it in places where it's not meant to go.
Even as a toddler.
Even if you are a toddler, don't do it, kids. Bright Second Eye says, are you building a new PC, mate? Mike, sorry. I'm always building something or other. This was designed, actually, long story, but I'll try and be brief about it. One of our Discord members who needed a new motherboard wanted a cheap motherboard and didn't have a ton of cash. So, yeah, but he put a dislike on the video. Bitch. He wanted a motherboard to build a system for his girlfriend or whatever, so I bought... Or whatever. It might have been him wanting the PC, I'm not too sure. But essentially, he wanted a motherboard, so I had the Gaming X version of this, which I paid about £85 for, I think it was, about a month ago. So I said, well, tell you what, you can have that one off me, so I'll let him have it at a really good price. And then, literally, a couple of days later, I was like, I need a motherboard now to replace that, and there's nothing on the market. So that's when I found this one, and I found it to be, yeah, brilliant value for money. For £89, you can't really knock it. There's not, well, let me know if you think there is. If there's anything on the market for £89.99 that you think is a better option than the B450 Aorus Elite, let me know. Post some links, let's see it, because I don't think there is anything. I genuinely don't. You know what I'm like? I am tight. I don't like spending money unnecessarily, so this is the option for me. It's either this or X570. I was tempted to get another X570 Pro-A because the last one I bought died from CCL, which was unfortunate, but these things happen. I am tempted to get that again purely because the price point, and also because people saying that it's not particularly good for the 3950X, which I'm not going to buy anyway because I don't have that kind of money, so it's not going to ever affect me. And I think for most mainstream moderate CPUs, it's going to be absolutely fine. So yeah, that is pretty much where we're at with that one. Yeah, so the story is I bought that to replace a board, so it's going to have to go back in there. But I don't really want to do the build again in the same case because it was the Sharkoon, the RGB Lit 100, which you've all probably seen too many times already. So that is another thing I want you to do. Suggest me a case. No one has suggested me a case yet. Come on, let's hear about some cases. I want a nice, reasonably priced ATX style case. It doesn't have to necessarily have RGB. I think RGB, I'm going to leave all that behind me. My addiction is wearing, so RGB isn't a necessity because we may go Noctua Chromax in the whole thing and bling the hell out of it in black and white, which I think actually black and white builds do look very timeless. They generally do. I kind of miss that monochrome look, so maybe we'll go that way. Brightech says B550 is a waste of money. I think it probably is. I can't justify it. I genuinely can't. For what you get, it's not really good. British Noob says, I would just like to say the Mobo was for me and my old stuff is going to the girlfriend. Okay, that's cool. Dave Burns says, there's another dislike, Mike. No, what the hell? A dislike on the video means absolutely nothing, and they've got to be watching the video to dislike it, so it's another watch as far as I'm concerned. Happy days. And like I said before, if I'm annoying people enough for them to dislike the video or dislike the content, at least it's a reaction. I could be just completely monochrome and go along with what everyone else say. Yeah, monochrome like my case is going to be, and just be bland and boring and go straight down the line and please everybody. I've got no intention of doing that, so if you don't like the video, it's fine. If you want to put a dislike on it, that is also fine. doesn't bother me. There's many people that want to watch the videos, and a lot of people get enjoyment out of it. And for those of you that do get enjoyment out of it, I'm going to keep on doing it, regardless of the people giving dislikes. So, yeah, it's not a problem at all. Although, if you want to give a dislike, if you do a double dislike, that makes it even really bad for the algorithm. So click on the dislike button twice. Make sure you do that, and that gives you a double dislike. And ooh, yeah, YouTube really get upset about that. Trooper C says, how long are you on for, Mike? Not a clue. Until I either get bored or disconnected, or my voice goes. Alexa says, 2 dislikes, probably console users jealous of the PC Master Race. I don't think you're allowed to say Master Race anymore. I think that's one of those things we're not allowed to say anymore. Somebody just suggested the CIT C100. Oh, that was British Noob. Sorry, mate. Didn't see you there. I didn't see your name there, rather.
You sound like an old bike advert.
Badshot UK 72 says there's a like to cancel it out. Thank you. Appreciate that. Junk from Work says, Mike, try the 220T in white. It's not cheap, but damn, it looks good. Okay. Richard says, I think Mike should scour the interweb and do a review of the absolute cheapest new case available in the UK. To be honest with you, I'm not too far off with the Ions case. I'm really not. And I did the Rio Toro, the CR100BE, which I think was about £15–16. I don't think I'm going to be able to beat that. Average Boy IGK says B550 or X570 at the same price. If they're the same price, you've got to go X570. You'd be insane to go for B550. It offers no advantages over the X570, and it still just completely blows my mind. If I had hair, I would literally be pulling it out in clumps in frustration. Wordless. Wordless? Is that a thing? Speechless. Wicked Ribbon says, Wicked Ribbon? That sounds like some kind of bondage thing. I can't even see what the picture is on there. Anyway, Wicked Ribbon says, random question, is there a difference between the Ryzen Balanced and the Ryzen High Performance power plans in Windows? There is a little bit. It depends on the processor and how it handles it. The Ryzen Balanced profile will give you essentially what it says, an optimized experience. So where it can save energy, it will do. So it will reduce energy on PCI Express lanes, your Wi-Fi if it's not needed, all those kinds of things. Also, your processor, it will boost as high. It won't affect any of your boost speeds or clock speeds or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about that. But where it can slow down, when it's feeling less drain on the system or less demand on resources, then it will try and do that. If you go for the high performance power plan, then it's going to try and keep those boost clocks as long as possible, and it will prevent it from clocking down as much as it possibly can. What's that? So hopefully that answers your question. Essentially, I would say for most use cases, the Ryzen Balanced Power Profile is probably the one to go for. It gives you a really good output. It also keeps your CPU cooler nice and cool, keeps the rest of the system cool. And if you're leaving the system idling, maybe you've got a couple of Chrome tabs open and you're going off and leaving your PC on, why waste the energy with it being in high performance mode? Let it clock down, let it lower the clocks, lower all the wattage, all that kind of stuff. Save yourself a few quid. Possibly. Okay, Ghost Ladder says, beer gang. Join us for a beer, everybody. Everything seems better with beer. And or cider or insert alcoholic drink of choice. Aletta says, Nick from Gear Seekers. Actually, yeah, I know Nick from Gear Seekers. Well, I don't know Nick. I know of him. I've watched some of his stuff. He always tells people to hit the dislike button twice. Matthew Day says, can't remember, have you done an Infinity mirror case? Yes, we did the GameMax. Was it the GameMax View?
No, what View? It
no.
was not Infinity.
Yes, to answer the question, yeah, we did do that.
Shall I put the link in?
And I've got to be honest with you, it was a nice case, but I'm not a big fan of solid fronts anymore. I don't know why. I kind of like mesh. I'm liking mesh a lot more now than I used to. Abyss. GameMax Abyss was the one with the what's it called panel? What do they call it? Infinity mirror. That was it. Fuzzy as if says Ant Esports 511 MT for £70. I can ship it to you from here. Where is here? And Ant Esports, I'm gonna have to have a look at that. We'll look. Fuzzy, I'll check that out later and I might get in contact with you. Grover Clark says that just undoes the dislike, right? Yeah, secret's out. That's exactly what it does. Craig Bowler says, Mike, watch the Lian Li 2020 Expo and you'll find a great ATX case and a great budget 215 case similar to the GameMax you reviewed. That is, the Lian Li stuff is beautiful, it genuinely is. I really do like the look of their stuff. But as you guys and girls know, some of their stuff is a little bit on the pricey side, so I'm a little hesitant to splash that much cash. And also, I don't do a great deal of, well, any real custom water cooling, maybe the odd AIO here and there. Wow, words is hard. UOI, yeah. I don't need a case with tremendous water cooling support really, and I think especially the dynamic really does need that kind of stuff in it to show off at its best. But yeah, we'll definitely look at the expo and see what's available. I love new cases. I always do. Whenever there's Kath's making notes. Thank you, Kath. Danielle says, seems right now in the USA the B550 might be cheaper because available B450s are being sold at scalper prices. Yeah, the price gouging is horrendous. It really is. The 3300X chip, because it's become so popular, has seen an increase of maybe £20 over the MSRP, which is crap really, because then you might as well just spend an extra £20 or £25 and get the Ryzen 5 3600, which generally is going to be the more kind of future-proof chip. Yes, it's not quite as fast in some gaming titles, but you've got those extra cores and extra threads, which, come on, with the PS5 and the new Xbox coming out, you know for a fact that that's going to be a multi-core device and is going to take advantage of extra cores and threads. So game developers, they're lazy sons of bitches, they really are. So all they're going to do is take an Xbox or PlayStation 5 and port it straight over to the PC. So if the PC hasn't got a ton of cores and threads, your game's going to suck. It's going to be very poorly optimized. So cores and threads are going to be the way forward. Although saying that, we've been saying that since AMD released the FX range, what, 10 years ago? And it's only kind of really catching on in some games now. So who knows? It seems the PC always ends up getting around it somehow, whether it's a better graphics card or more memory or a couple of tweaks in the config file. We generally get there in the end, regardless. Ghostlander says, I am a console user. Never mind, sorry for your loss. It's better than the PC. The 360 has better frame rates and the graphics than the 2080 Ti. Silly, silly boy. What have I missed now? Oh, I've missed loads of stuff. Oh, Cap's put the link in that. AJ, I just joined. Can someone sum up why we should still be buying B450 and maybe not B550? The pandemic has made it harder to find decently priced B450 boards, but B550 boards are a good price. AJ, it depends where you are. Here in the UK, B550 boards, even the really crap entry-level ones, the B550 HDM, ASRock, that kind of thing, they're ludicrous prices. £100 plus in most cases. Although I did say earlier I found, Sarden 84 has linked a new board from Novatech, I think then, for under £100. So that's something we may be taking a look at. But still, that is a very, very entry-level board. The VRM setup on it looks to be identical to its B450 alternative. And the B550 HDM isn't known for overclocking or being able to handle overclocking. So when you're spending nearly £100 on a board, you might also get something which has a little bit of kahunas about it. Like this, the B450 Aorus Elite, the Pro 4 from ASRock, the Steel Legend from ASRock, the Tomahawk. Come on, the Tomahawk board is legendary. It really is. Yes, it misses out on addressable RGB, but that isn't the be-all and end-all. Pretty much any chip you can buy, you can stick on a Tomahawk board, and you know it's going to run pretty much at full tilt. And you probably overclock it as well. So yeah, that pretty much sums up why. B450 boards here in the UK, still crazy prices. If they come down to 20, 30 pounds less than what they are, they might have something on their hands, but at the moment, not going to happen. Richard's replied, yeah, AJ, that's not really the case here in the UK. It is really true. Reese Amos says, what do you think is the best micro ATX motherboard for Ryzen? That is a pretty open-ended question. If it's B450 and it's micro ATX, then it's probably going to be the Mortar. I don't think really you could argue that there's anything much better than that. I don't think they did a MSI Pro Carbon micro ATX. Maybe they did. If they did, then that would probably be the one to look for. Cobra says the 3300X is never in stock. Yeah, it's a very sought after chip. And actually, I think there's only one person I know who's actually got one, and that was Skystalker, who bought one. Luckily, managed to get it pretty much on release day. Oh God, pressing the wrong thing. AJ says, what case is that in the background with those 3 fans in the front of it? That is possibly one of the cheapest cases you can buy at the moment. It's the Ions KZ10, which was an absolute steal, and Kath has put the link in there so you guys can check that out. Richard says, 124 watching, bloody hell. Yeah, bloody hell. The pubs are open. What's the matter with you all? Go to the pub. There's far more entertaining things in the pub, like being able to sit 2 meters apart from people and have 2 drinks and then get sent home, and give away your credit card or debit card details so they can track and trace you. Yeah, you're probably safer watching this. Ben Marriage says, Mike, have you had a chance to look at the MSI MPG B550 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi? To me, it looks like best features for the price. I'll be honest with you, I haven't. Unless it comes down to a similar price to the kind of the X570 version, which I don't think it is. We really need to see some reviews for these boards before start making purchases, the B550 especially. If the B550 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi is using the same VRM solution as the X570 version, it's not going to be a particularly good board. It does have a slightly weaker VRM than certain other boards in a similar price point, such as the Asus TUF. What else was there? I'm trying to think now. The Asus Prime P, the Prime Pro, all those kinds of boards do considerably better. That was a downside. The first release of the X570 MSI boards didn't go particularly well. So the Gaming Edge may take a similar feature set, let's say. What have I missed there? Probably everything. Aiden Hill says, if you really want addressable RGB, get a generic controller. The motherboard having good VRMs and features is more important, in my opinion, than a convenient header. It is. It's a nice to have. It is definitely a nice to have. Tandeman B550 Tomahawk, £179 at CCL, which still seems like a quite expensive board for a Tomahawk. David Aiken says, similar to the 1600AF, those things are like rocking horse crap. They certainly are. Ampedition says, build a PC subreddit. They watch parts come back in stock all the time because Hardware Unboxed showed that Gigabyte has the worst B450 VRMs, overheat and throttle, all of them. Ampedition, you have brought up a absolutely brilliant point. Yes, Hardware Unboxed did do that with the B450s, but you're missing the big point of that. They tested it with the Ryzen 9 3950X in a essentially non-cooled situation using an AIO cooler. Sorry?
Are they Australian?
Yeah. So they're in a particularly, well, a relatively warm room anyway, like 23, 24 degree room. They've got an open air test bench with an AIO, so there's virtually no cooling on those VRMs. And yes, I agree, those other boards in the test did do better. But realistically, the B450, much like the same with the MSI, the X570 Pro-A or A-Pro, whatever they call it, those boards, yes, the VRMs do get hot, but if you add additional cooling, or you have cooling in the case, and maybe you're using a slightly lesser processor, a 3900, or maybe a Ryzen 7 3700, 3800, you will get much, much better results, and you won't get to that thermal throttle. So yes, it has possibly some of the worst VRMs in the mid-range of the B450s, but with that particular processor in mind. With lesser processors, no problems at all. And many other YouTubers have commented on that and said, well, yeah, you're showing worst case scenario, which yes, in worst case scenario, it does piss poor, it genuinely does. But then if you're buying that sort of processor, would you marry it up with this sort of board? You probably wouldn't, you'd spend more money. So it's kind of, it's not comparing apples with apples. If you want a good system and you're going to use that sort of motherboard, then yes, you'd pay extra for it. And now, as time has gone on, that has been massively reflected in the prices of those particular boards. This is why something like now the B450 Aorus Elite is under £90, whereas the Tomahawk is about £120. So that has been reflected in the price, which is why I do think that genuinely this, for most people built in, for 99% of people who are not going to be using a Ryzen 9 3950X and overclocking the tits off it, this is going to be absolutely brilliant board for you, and you're going to save a ton of money. Why spend all that extra money on something which has brilliant VRM cooling just so you possibly could put a 3950X if you win the lottery? I agree with what you're saying, but I think you need to put it into context. I genuinely do.
Deepak said upside down lol. And
Yeah,
like, no, not this
yeah,
time.
and they
I
were,
did double check that today.
yeah. Aiden Hill says, what I mean is you can always add addressable RGB later with a controller. It's a lot harder to improve a motherboard VRM in future set if you buy one because it has a convenient header. Yes, I get what you mean. Yeah, Aletta says hardware unboxed are in Australia, so their VRM tests are upside down. So yeah, they registered 69 degrees, so should have been, oh no, that's the same. Gary says, 145 people watching, are you paying people? No, it just seems that it's the 4th of July and people clearly have mistaken this for some kind of party. It's not. You're all insane. Kenny D says, oh yeah, hi calf. Kieran Atkinson says, hi Mike, what do you think of the new XT chips? Oh, it's Marshmallow from Discord. Hi Marshmallow. Kieran, I would say the XT chips is just another one of those things, it's just a gimmick. AMD are in that weird position where they've got a really good product stack, but they feel, well, I'd imagine the investors are kind of like, well, we need to be pushing more because we've got Intel on the run a little bit. We need to be doing more and bring out new products because we've got this and we want to push out that, and we're getting better yields from the factory, so we need to do something. So essentially they've just put an extra few hundred megahertz on some chips and called them the XT, which is pretty much what graphics card manufacturers do. So it's not something new, and a lot of places do it. Not just the PC industry, throughout the world it gets done. You get a car, you get it slightly performed, slightly tuned, and all of a sudden it becomes like the racing edition or the GT version or whatever. So it's not a new thing, and it is entirely expected. Whether or not it's good value, I would say probably not. Most people will find that the standard version of the chips rather than the XT chips will probably overclock to those limits anyway without too much extra fuss and probably on the same cooling. realistically, the XT chips are going to want a little bit of extra cooling because they are pushing the boundaries of what is possible. Yeah, I'm not convinced. And also, I'm a tight ass, so I wouldn't buy them purely for that reason. I would just overclock mine a little bit if I wanted to. And to be honest with you, Ryzen 3000 chips these days, you don't need to overclock it. Switch on Precision Boost Overclock, flick on the DOCP or XMP for your RAM settings, and you're good to go. Aiden Hill says, are we all getting paid later? No. Was that not in the agreement? No, that definitely wasn't. Oh, so Letta's girlfriend's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Don't know your name, so...
We do know it.
We probably do. We probably have heard it, yes. Cobra says, we'll be pairing my Ryzen 5 3600 with the B450 Aorus Pro. Thanks for the recommendation. The Pro is, again, is essentially is exactly the same board as this. You get a little bit of extra RGB on the I/O shield, whereas you don't get on this one, and you get two M.2 heat sinks. You also get, what else is there? There's something else you get. What else is it? There is something else. Can't be just that. Oh, you get the USB Type-C as well, which is lacking on this. But I've said this in the review video. I don't have hardly anything. No, that's double negative. I don't have any real USB Type-C devices that I need to plug in. I genuinely don't. And pretty much every USB Type-C device I've got has got USB Type-A on the other end anyway. Even things like some of the drives I got from Silicon Power, they generally come with Type-C on one end, Type-A on the other, or a Type-C and Type-C cable, so you can use either. I don't think I'd miss it at all.
Does the B450 come with Dutch cheese?
Does the B450 come with Dutch cheese? Why would it come with Dutch cheese? It doesn't come with cheese. It's not a cheese board. It's not a smorgasbord. It doesn't come with cheese. However you've come to this video, yeah, that's...
Jabants.
Oh, is it? Jabants, is it? You silly...
Ribants.
Oh, Ribants. Oh, okay, sorry. Where have I? I've missed out some of the questions now. I do apologise. Yuktarth Nagar-IB. Why do you have a wrench after your name?
It's because you're...
That is because the people in the chat with a wrench on their name and highlighted in blue, they're all tools of the trade. No, they're moderators. So if you say bad things, they will put you into timeout or just kick your ass.
Or if you're angry, Dave, you might just do it anyway.
Yeah. Deepak C. Nair says cheap B550 or B450 Steel Legend for Ryzen 7 2700 OC. Cheap B550, possibly. Until they actually hit the shops and we know what's going on and we see what VRM capacitors are like, it's impossible to say. Now the B550s we've seen already come out have had really good VRM sets, so they do warrant their extra price, the tomahawks, that kind of stuff. But the low end boards, maybe not so much. So we really need to see what's underneath the heat sinks and see if they're going to do any good. If not, you might as well save some money and go for a Steel Legend or something. We've got another super chat is coming from ClickTech. He's chucked another £2 in the pot from one tool to another. Bless you, Kev. Thank you very much for that. That's £2 payment for me sending people over to his MSI Pro A video. So swings and roundabouts. Hopefully you'll earn that back on views. And Skystalker apparently has a much bigger tool than Kev, so he's thrown in $5 Canadian into the pot. Thank you both very much for your donations. We appreciate that. Lester says, whoever gave me a Moderator spanner was drinking heavily.
Oh, sorry, it's me.
Can't imagine. That's probably yours, Kath, yeah.
It was.
Right, sorry, I've missed some questions. I will try and answer all of you. Okay, here's an interesting one. Yuktarth Nagar-IB. Hopefully I've said that right. There's a lot of letters in there, so probably not. I flashed the new BIOS update for my Aorus Elite using eFlash. The EC firmware update tool was not working for me. Will I face the 4DIMM RAM issue? Please help. I've got to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure what that issue is. Maybe when I release a video on this, make a comment in the video and I'll try and answer it there. Or if you're in the next stream, I'll see if I can look it up in the meantime. I'll get Kath to take a quick screenshot of that question and maybe I'll look at that in the week. But I'm not aware of that one, so I'll check it out. G. Cooley, or Cooley, one of the two. I still think the B450 range offers a ton of value and still support most, if not all, the available processors available. You said available twice, which is confusing for a man of my age. But regardless, yeah, totally. Before I did the review of the B450 Aorus Elite and pretty much all the boards I get in, I always look at the CPUs that are supported, which obviously is only a snapshot in time, so as new CPUs come out that isn't always reflected, but generally it is, or hopefully it is. But yeah, the B450 Aorus Elite actually does support every single chip in the AM4 lineup, right away from the top to the very bottom. So I haven't found one in there yet that it doesn't support. I did have quite a long look through the list. 3950X is up there at the very top, and at the very bottom I think was the Athlon 200 GE or something along those lines. So yeah, it covers pretty much everything that you would realistically want to put on it. I still don't understand Brabant's comment about the cheese, but no doubt someone will explain it to me.
It's hot.
I don't know. Toasted cheese toaster. Ghost Adder says, never used Type-C, but my motherboard has it, so nice. I'll go with that. Reese Amos says, should I pair my 2700X with a GTX 1660 Ti for gaming because I have a good deal on one? Yeah. Seems like a good idea. Depending on the price, yeah, like Cobra said, actually, if you can get the 1660 Super, but either are very good.
What if I got to highlight which comment, sorry?
No one B for me. For example, on Amazon, the B450 Tomahawk board is 239 Canadian dollars. Wow. That is.
Screenshot?
The question about the flashing on the motherboard, Aorus Pro, or Aorus Elite rather. Kenny D says, I feel like with all the more average B450 boards, you're realistically limited to an 8-core CPU. But is that a limitation? Being limited to only 8 cores, that's 8 cores, 16 threads, which in reality is kind of supercomputer power, isn't it? 8 cores, 16 threads is still a phenomenal amount of power, no matter how you look at it. Go into 12 cores or 24 cores or whatever crazy amount of cores you want is a little bit over the top, really, if you think about it. 8 cores, I think, is more than enough for most people. Yeah, somebody just said there about the same thing about the USB ports. USB, so now when you're trying to insert both ways can be wrong.
You've got a super chat, but it's a emoticon thing, so it doesn't work on the...
Oh, I've got a super chat, but it's an emoticon, so it doesn't work. So that is from Yuktarth Nagar-IB. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. 40, I'm not even sure what that sign is. What is that sign? Someone tell me what that sign is. I do not understand it. I am a relatively sheltered individual. I've barely made my way out of the United Kingdom.
Spain.
I went to Spain once. Does that count as being a traveller? I don't think it does.
You don't go north of Europe,
yeah.
Gloucester.
We try not to go any further north than Gloucester if we can help it.
You did have to go to Birmingham once.
Yeah, Birmingham we did once or twice. Brabant says, haha, Mike, I'm Dutch, and Dutch cheese is so stereotypical for other people. I gotcha. I gotcha. Aidan Hill says, for Type C to become useful, it truly needs to upsurp Type A. There is no reason for both to exist, and either renders the other meaningless when both being supported at the same time. Yeah, USB has been around an awful long time. The original Type A connector really became mainstream, probably, I would argue, 1995. As soon as Windows 95 came out and supported USB devices, that was when USB Type A really became a thing, and we moved over from our kind of serial or parallel ports, and we tried to get to grips with plug and play and installing drivers before we installed USB ports. Whereas previously, you would install your serial port, install your parallel port, then install your driver, and then plug and play would magically change all the IRQs and stuff like that and make it work. Whereas with USB, most early USB devices needed a hardware driver to be installed into Windows. So you'd install your floppy disk, install the driver, wait for it to say, now insert your USB device, and then you plug it in, and fingers crossed, if you're running Windows 95A, you had no chance. If you're running the B update, you had a slightly better chance. And if you're running Windows 98 SE, mostly USBs worked fine. So those were the good days. But yeah, USB Type A, I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. It has become so commonplace everywhere. Pretty much everything runs on USB Type A. Chargers, all that kind of stuff. It's just insane the amount of places you can use USB. So it would take something really drastic, like maybe all of the world's USB Type A charging points to mysteriously catch on fire at the same time for USB-C to actually make any sense. It's nice to have though. Tanderman says it must be the cost of the petrol then. I think that's about me travelling. Yeah. I actually filled up my car with diesel just before the diesel price crash with COVID. Gutted.
I think it's a day of the lockdown, isn't it?
Old School Funk and Soul 1 says, Brummy, but have travelled quite a bit. Need 8-core, 32 gig machine for music production, have health issues, so no budget. Can you help? Very possibly can. Jump into our Discord, say hello to everybody, and we'll see what we can sort out for you. Aidan Hill says, sorry to admit that Windows 95 was before my time. David Fanai, is that right? I'm not sure, maybe. Need to watch it from the beginning. I'll catch up, guys. No worries. Put it on extra speed. Brad Pants says, Windows 95, damn, used to play Wolfenstein on Windows 95 in school. I'm so old. I'm so old because I remember what came before Windows 95. Anyway, Kieran Atkinson says, is that the Thermaltake CPU cooler in the PC behind you, Mike? It's not actually, no, it is the pretty much identical clone of it. It's the Sahara, the R20, the Iced Rainbow. It's actually a really, really good cooler. Consider him. David Aiken says, 177 viewers, Mike. How many pens have you offered? I haven't actually, not yet. That's good. If we get to 200 concurrent viewers, I will give away a pen.
And put the pen advert on.
And I'll put the pen advert on as well.
For Dave.
Just for Dave, because Dave likes that. Fear says, will ASRock B450 Pro 4 handle 32 MHz RAM? If yes, what do I have to do? Well, it just works. You just plug it in, go into the BIOS, flick on the XMP profile. B450 boards generally all supported up to DDR3200 as pretty much their capping limit. Some will do 3466, and actually some of the newer Max version boards have got increased frequencies, some of them up to kind of nearly 4000 megahertz, which is pretty insane. Baleen has sent us a €5 super chat and says, keep it up. Unfortunately, when the stickers come in, the disco ball don't go off, so yeah, I'll give you the disco ball. I said "ye are" then, that's so Bristolian. I do apologise for that. That was my entry to my first video. I'm going to do an unboxing now. There, that's enough of that. Click Tech Kev says, I want my pen. Now, Kev, you're in luck because you are a Patreon supporter and you support currently on the, I think it's $10 limit, which hopefully you don't mind me saying. So, we've actually sent one of these out to you today. Well, actually, we haven't sent it out because it's still in the other room waiting to be put in the post box tomorrow morning. But if you are on Patreon or you want to help support Mike's Unboxing and help us make the content we do, go over to patreon.com/Mike's Unboxing and you can become a patron. $2 is the minimum, and that's just for general support, and also you get access to our Discord, priority technical support, all that kind of stuff. But $5, $10 and $20 limits, and basically you get freebies. You don't get them every month, but it's just a thank you to say good on you. Nice one, mate. Muckless says, hello everybody. How you doing, Muckless? Yuktarth Nagar, have I said your name right? If I haven't, I'm really, really sorry. It's 3 AM here, got a crash, thanks for the support. No, thank you for the support. We do appreciate it, and it's really nice to see people from all around the globe join in.
Rupees, I don't know if you...
What's that?
Well, it was Indian rupees.
Indian rupees. Bless you. Thank you very much. Seduction says, I am confused which motherboard to purchase. Aren't we all? I am. And I allegedly know what I'm talking about. Allegedly. I did say allegedly there, right? So don't hold me to that. I'll be using a 3300X. You're the lucky one who got it. I don't want to go for an expensive B450 boards like the Tomahawk or Strix. Will ASRock Pro 4 be alright? Yeah, totally. The ASRock Pro 4 actually is a pretty decent board. It's got the same VRM set as the Steel Legend, which is the next kind of price tier up, kind of, in my mind at least, for the kind of entry-level boards, or mid-level boards, I guess you'd call them. B450 board, yeah, the Pro 4 is going to be fine. You could go away with the Gigabyte Gaming Edge, which is a slightly upgraded VRM on that. It's kind of, they're very equal in terms of that. The RGB on both of them is excellent. Marion Gall says, Mike, what do you think that B550 Mos are no through fair? Because DDR5 are behind the corner of AMD. Oh, right, yeah, I get what, yeah, I think I get what you mean there. Yeah, the B550 board is kind of like a weird thing. They've released it at a weird time. Again, I think the B550, it was delayed and delayed and delayed, and I don't quite understand why. I don't see what they've done to it to make it worth all that delay when the X570 has been out for almost a year prior to it and is essentially a cut down version of it. I think AMD needed to please the motherboard manufacturers because AMD were taking off, people were buying chips but reusing motherboards. So if you bought, say, a B450 when they first came out and you had maybe a Ryzen 5 1600, you could then change that out for a 2600 and then now a 3600, and you can keep hold of that board. Whereas most manufacturers are so used to that kind of Intel cycle where a board would last you maybe a year, 2 years, you change your processor, you change your board. So motherboard manufacturers weren't selling as many boards as they'd hoped. So they've reduced what chips can be used in some of these boards, or at least try to, then they kind of reneged on that a little bit. And then the B550 comes out at these weird prices for no real reason. There isn't really a benefit over the X570. The B450 boards generally cover all the slots that the X570s don't. So in my mind, really, the B550 there isn't a place for on the market. They just slot it in there. They've given it this designation of B550, and it doesn't make any sense. They should have called it B570 Lite or X570 Lite, because that is essentially what it is, but for pretty much the same money, which is mad. Shady Play says, what are we talking about? What is a B450 or B550? Are we talking about computers? We try to. We try to stay on that topic as much as we can. I often digress, but I try and stay on the topic at least partially. But thanks for noticing. Misra1898 says, it's 4:30 p.m. in Mexico. I'm eating while watching the stream. It's great. Awesome. Hopefully your weather is better there than what it is right here, because our weather at the moment sucks. Major balls. Is horrendous. It is very wet, very damp. It's very typically British weather at the moment. Definitely need your brolly. That's an umbrella. Skystalker says, I just saw that Mike added a $20 USD tier on Patreon. Smiley face. Yeah, without promoting it too much, basically the $20 tier is for those people that really do appreciate what we do. And essentially, if you do that, then any merch that we've got or that we have, we'll send it to you. So we've got more stuff in the pipeline. There's a few things that I'm working on at the moment. We're waiting for printers and finalization, all that kind of stuff. So there's extra freebies that are going to be coming along. So if you're a Patreon member, we appreciate it, and we want to support you, support us, sort of thing. So we want to give you something back, and maybe you can go down the street wearing your Mike's Unboxing classic tee, or maybe sign for something with your Mike's Unboxing pen, or maybe you have something in your car which is Mike's Unboxing related, or maybe that USB charger somewhere, Mike's Unboxing, whatever it is. So yeah, we're trying to give you something back. We're not just take. We want to give something back. Terry Broderick says, they most likely had too many B450 motherboards. There are so many B450 motherboards in circulation at the moment. There are stacks and stacks of them. And you know this because if you buy a motherboard, even if it's brand spanking new, you look at the BIOS revision, generally it's going to be a couple of months old. So that means there's stock hanging around, which means at some point someone's bought an absolute ton of stock and has got it somewhere stacked up. Grover Clark says the Aorus B550 M Pro is only $129 and it looks great for a mini ITX. That's one I need to take a look at. Kath, make a note of that one.
What's that one, sorry?
B550 M Pro for Aorus. Terry Broderick says, stay out of the pub, Mike. We try to talk about computers, but sometimes we talk about beer or cheese, says Aletta. This is true. Terry Broderick says 90 plus here, and sunny. Damn. I wish it was here. Muckless says all lockdown was sunny and really fine weather. The second they announced the finish to that, the grey skies appeared. Yes, they did.
They do that at every stage.
Yeah, it always happens.
The essential shops, it went grey again.
Another 18 concurrent viewers, and then we can give away a pen. Giving away a pen. An actual pen.
12.
A real pen. Oh yeah. Okay. Right. No one's asked any more questions about motherboards. Oh, then someone asked about a build. Okay. Oh no, two people asked it. Okay. So, Ivan RBX says, I got my B450 Carbon Pro Gaming AC Wi-Fi for £110. Ivan, that is an amazing deal. I feel a little bit gutted because I did see the B450 Carbon Pro Gaming AC. I'm sure it was either Amazon or maybe CCL had them on offer for 120, or it may have been 100. I'm not too sure. One of the two. And I was like, I'm tempted. I'm really tempted, but I'll wait because they're going to get cheaper because the B550s and stuff are going to be coming out, so they're bound to drop price. And then lo and behold, in comes all the COVID and kicks all our computing asses, which is not great. Dear. But that is a fantastic price, £110 for a B550 Carbon Pro Gaming AC Wi-Fi. Grover Clark says, Mike, can you build in a LAN Liankle to mesh, please? I want to know if the mesh works. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. Caps, write it down. Pen, pineapple, pineapple, pen. Ivan RBX says it occurs a few weeks ago. Bloody hell. Excuse my French. Yeah, that is a particularly good motherboard. As far as the B550 range, B450 range go, the MSI B450 Carbon Pro Gaming AC really does kick ass. And there is actually, I'll put a link for, see if I can find it. there is actually a link I go to all the time, and this is for looking at motherboard VRMs and how good they are. So I'll just copy that in a minute and I'll dump this into the chat. So if you're not sure if a motherboard is any good or not, and you want to know if the VRM's up to scratch, this is a fantastic resource. I'll post that in now. Hopefully it won't get blocked. Yep, there it is. So it's a google.com spreadsheet, and essentially a guy's gone around and looked at loads and loads of boards, looked at the VRMs, looked at the actual manufacturers of the VRMs, see what capacities they are, the amperages, the ratings and all that, and has made a massive list of pretty much all the AMD boards. It's slightly lacking on the B550 and some of the X570 boards because they're updating it. There is 2 versions. But if you want to look at it, you will get a really good idea of what boards are suitable and which ones aren't. Now this is where, if you look on there now actually for this one, the B450 Aorus Elite, you'll notice that pretty much in the Gigabyte B450 range, essentially they're all the same VRM through the entire range. So if you go for the top of the range board, you're going to get the same VRM as one of the lower end boards, which is pretty insane. They're either all junk or they're all okay. They're not brilliant, but they're okay. And you'll see that on the list, there's a red cross, I think, by the Ryzen 9 3950X. Then as you go down lower, it's kind of red, amber, yellow, green. So if it's in the green, it means overclocking is absolutely fine. If it's in the yellow, it means it's not great, might need extra cooling. If it's in the orange, it means it does need extra cooling. And if it's in the red, it means it's not advisable. So if you want to know what motherboards are really good and which ones are really bad VRM wise and for overclocking, especially those higher end 3950 processors and similar, definitely check out the link in there. It is a very, very useful thing. And I do refer to it on an almost daily basis, in fact.
Do you want beer?
Oh yeah, better have another beer. Deepak says, you mentioned about the Steel Legend and the Pro 4 having the same VRMs, but the Pro 4 has more chokes. Does it make a difference? Is there any other differences in the VRM? Chokes will make a difference because the chokes can be different ratings, and also you can have splitters and all that kind of stuff. There's so many things that can make a very small difference on a VRM, but that small difference can mean the difference between a processor getting hot or the processor restricting the current flow and not doing as well. So yes, they are essentially, if you look at the list, like I said, like I posted, both the Pro 4 and the Steel Legend essentially work out to be pretty much identical in performance. There's not a great deal in them at all. If you put them on a test bench and actually did individual testing, I'd imagine you'd probably find a couple of degrees difference between the two, but the difference would not be big enough to put them into the next category up or down. So yeah, essentially yeah, the VRM isn't the be all and end all, it is also the components that surround the VRM. And also, another thing to bear in mind as well is the rest of your components. If you're looking at using those high-end processors and overclocking and getting the most performance out of it, you need a decent power supply. You need good power delivery. The whole thing has to be strong. If there's any weak link, then performance will suffer. Maybe you might get performance, but you won't get stability. It's very, very weird. You might get both. You never know.
Yeah, you're over 200.
I'm not. It's dropped down to 197.
It's not on mine, it's fine.
How is it?
Oh yeah, 197.
Okay, so we just went past 200 concurrent viewers, so I suppose I should keep to my word even and give one of you a Mike's Unboxing pen. Now, I didn't honestly think they would get to 200 concurrent viewers, so I've got to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do this and how to make it fair. So, I don't know. How do we do this, Kath?
I have no idea.
I have not got an idea how to do this. So, this is going to be interesting. How the hell am I going to do this? Pen time. Get your pens out. It's a good job I bought enough of them. How are we going to do this, Kath? Muckless says, Mike, I bought these 5-pin RGB fans, GameMax ones. Do I need a controller to use them? I have the B450 Steel Legend. Yes, if you've bought GameMax fans with the 5-pin RGB, then yes, you will need the adapter from them as well. Brabant says, ask some random question, Mike. Dave Burns says, pick me. A maths question. First to say pen, says Paul Bakewell. Random PC question. First to answer wins. Quick fire question round. Okay. It's not going to be very quick because I've got to think about it. Okay. Oh, I can't think of a good question that would be relatively easy for most people to get. Okay. Okay, what was the fastest first generation Ryzen CPU released in the initial release batch?
Do you know the answer? Yes,
I do, yeah. I think everyone's Googling it.
I've got answers online.
Well, there is an answer there, and I can see it. Brabant says, bloody hell, good one. They're all getting... Actually, there's a lot of very good answers there. And actually, I'm surprised how many of you actually got it. So, Angry Dave says, what was the question?
Oh,
bless.
He was busy dealing with people to block.
Right, the question was, what was the first highest range or highest end? I'm not even explaining this well now, am I? What was the first highest end CPU from the Ryzen 1000 range? And the question for that was the answer to that, rather, sorry, was, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to double check it now because I don't want to look a complete imbecile, because a couple of people have put slightly different things, so I'm going to double check just to make sure. That would help if I could put in the right thing. I'm pretty sure it was the 1800X, but I'm looking for the release date. So, yes, the template. So the AMD Ryzen 1000 series on the 2nd of March 2017, the Ryzen 7 1800 was the fastest processor available on the platform, and it retailed at... Actually, we'll give away another pen. If anyone can tell me what the initial retail price was for that processor, the first one to give me the right answer in American dollars, we'll give another pen to. That's fair.
So what was the answer?
The answer was the 1800X.
Steve Aiken.
So was that the first person?
Yeah.
So David Aiken, congratulations, you have won yourself a Mike's Unboxing dual action stylus and pen, and that will be winging its way to you. Well, actually, we'll stick that in the post tomorrow because we're good like that. And also, I'm pretty sure you're in the UK. Yes, you're in the UK, so that's going to be nice and easy to do. So whoever answers the question with the correct initial release price of the 1800X on release day, you will get, and I'm just going to make sure that no one else has done it, in UK dollars, sorry, in American dollars, and the actual answer was, that I've got on my screen from Wikipedia, so it must be true, is $499. So that means that Jabant won. Come on down, the price is right.
Is Jabant on?
I've always wanted to say that.
Discord?
So Jabant won. You also have won a Mike's Unboxing pen. Now, I won't give you one of these because I've touched them. COVID awareness, all that kind of crap. So we will...
I'm sure that'll burn off in the post.
It will burn off in the post, so I was being facetious, really. I'll dip it in Carlin. It'll be fine after that.
It's after 5 PM. It's dodgy.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Is he on Discord? Is Jabant on Discord? I think he is.
Yeah.
Ask.
Jabant 1, if you're on Discord, stick your hand in the air. Why am I asking that, Kath?
For the address.
Oh yeah, for the address, of course.
That's because you don't do it.
Yeah, I know. Kath is in charge of postage and packing. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, that over there in the corner, that thing over there. Sorry. That young lady, the young lady over in the corner with the pretty dress on, she will be the one taking care of the logistics for the 2 Mike's Unboxing pens going out to the 2 lucky individuals. Well, actually, make sure they work. Yep. Yep, they work. They're all good. They come with a lifetime guarantee. That is the lifetime that I own them. As soon as you get them, no warranty whatsoever. So, Skystalker says, I owned it. It's the 1800X. You did. I had the 1700X because...
You didn't own it.
I didn't own it, actually. I bought it... Well, I didn't buy it. I swapped it for a... This is actually, how cool a deal was this? I had a Intel i7 2600K and the appropriate motherboard, which I can't even remember what it was now, some old thing. And I swapped it for a 1700X and a X370 Prime Pro from Asus. That was the deal of the century. It genuinely was. I got 16 gigs of G-Skill DDR RAM as well in the deal. Amazing, absolutely amazing. And that was at the very beginning, and it was flaky as hell because it's when it almost first came out. Guy didn't want it, so he's like, oh, I need reliability, I'm doing video editing. It's like, well, I'm actually doing video editing, but what the hell, let's do it. And yeah, that was my first AM4 chip, was the 1700X. But I wanted the 1800X because it was a bit faster. So there we go, that was a bit of fun in games. If we get to 300 concurrent viewers, I'll give away all the pens.
No.
I'm just joking, I won't.
Give away another.
I might have to. Who else has asked a question? David Aiken says, I take back my sellout comment, thanks for the pen. Blue Dragon says, so which motherboard should we buy? Personally, B450 Aorus Elite, the Steel Legend is great. Tomahawk, MSI, it depends on your brand. If you've got a particular brand you like, if you like MSI, it's got to be the Tomahawk or maybe the Carbon, AC Pro Carbon. That is a phenomenal motherboard. Bit more expensive, but it's very, very good. So, yeah, that sums up the video. What I've been rabbiting on about for the last 2 hours, I've summed up in maybe one sentence. MSI Pro Carbon. Good night. I'm only joking. Muckless says, still on the room temp beer, Mike. No, this has actually got condensation. It's cold. Condensation. Or sweat. Terry Broderick says, Newegg has the Ryzen 3100 at $339.99. Is that Canadian dollars? Or is that American dollars? That's ridiculous. Aletta says, Skystalker, my 3800X can beat up your 1800X. Angry Doe says, Jabant1 is in Discord. Discord crew. ClickTech Kev says, congrats to the 2 winners. Thank you, Kev. That is what this is all about. Our community that we're trying to build. We're all trying to help support each other and be cool to each other. We don't have egos. It's not like my system's faster than yours or whatever. It's friendly stuff. Love it. You guys are absolutely amazing. Skystalker says, Aletta in a kid's box now. 39X now. Yes. Skystalker's flexing, everybody. Terry Broderick says, try and get a Carbon. Yes, exactly. Brabants says, the B550 Steel Legend supports all 3rd generation CPUs. Finitip says, but the 2700 is 2nd gen. that is another thing to take at on this. That's another angle altogether. If you've already got a processor, and say for instance like this particular situation, you've got a 2700 or 2700X or maybe Ryzen 5 2600, and your motherboard's gone kaput, what do? Do you buy a B550 board with the hope that it might work? Which it won't. At least they said it won't, so it shouldn't do. What do? Or get a cheaper board from the B450 range and then hold on to what you've got until AM5 comes out, or the 4000 series? It's confusing as hell. Brabant's pretty much sums it up there. Go safe. Go for the Tomahawk Max or the Steel Legend. Yeah, those are the ones to go for. Aletta says, I need to try the Discord thingy again. You guys sound like you're having lots of fun. No, essentially they're just constantly taking the mickey out of me and Noob.
And Ghost.
And Ghost. Ghost gets a lot of grief, he does. Ghost Adder does get a lot of grief.
She can only come back if I can see the contents of her box.
Did you hear that, Aletta? She said you can only come back if she can see the contents of your box. I don't want to get involved. I'll take pictures, don't want to get involved. Finadip says, was hoping to get a nice B550 Tomahawk for its nice VRMs. Yeah, realistically, I would say you're better off buying the X570 Tomahawk for the extra cost. It's not a lot more money, but it is a much, much better board. I've started off something terrible now. Right, let's change subject altogether. Now, we're going to stop talking about motherboards for a bit now, because I've done 2 hours of talking about motherboards, and Jesus, how many times can you say buy a Tomahawk? or an Oros Elite. Review coming out next couple of days. Don't forget to watch it, like and subscribe. Now, on a completely different subject, who has tried the new Trackmania 2020, which is now free for those of you that want to pick it up from, is it Epic Games? I don't even remember who it was from, Uplay, whatever it is, it was free. Now, thanks to Angry Doge, our Discord member, and also in the chat at the moment, who mentioned it was free. So I thought, well, Trackmania, I've heard of that. I'm sure I wanted to play it many, many years ago. And I never ever downloaded it, never got it. It always looked like fun, but I never had time for it. So I thought, well, it's free. I'm sat in front of my computer waiting for something to happen, so let's install it and see what it's like. And I tried it, and I've got to be honest with you, the physics, I loved it. It was great, very, very enjoyable. And also give me a good opportunity to try a couple of new joysticks which have been sent to us by our friends over at Easy SMX, which, again, one of our friends on the Discord and also YouTuber, ClickTech Kev, also done some reviews for Easy MSX joysticks a little while back. So they've actually taken the joysticks that they had and they've updated some of the features on them and created newer models. So we'll be reviewing those. So I thought, well, I've got to review some joysticks. I'm going to have to play games. What else can I do? That is my job. I'm sorry, I had to do it. So anyway, I was playing Trackmania 2020 and I got to the point where I'm like, I cannot get past a certain level. Now, spoilers, no, actually I'm not going to do spoilers, but luckily Angry Doge, being who he is and being a gamer extraordinaire, managed to tell me how to do it, or at least show me how to do it. So hopefully I can do it. And what I was planning on doing in the next couple of days is doing a live stream of me being a complete noob at Trackmania, trying to do the training courses and trying to maintain golds on each level, which, for those of you that know me and know my gameplay, this isn't going to go well. And
he's left-handed.
And I'm left-handed, so obviously I've got that as a disability. Also, I'm planning to do it whilst drinking, and every time I fail, to do a shot. So that could be very interesting. So if you want to see me do a live stream where I try in vain to get gold levels or author level medals on Trackmania, if you want to see that, let me know in the comments. It might happen. We'll try and do that. Ivan RBX says, by the way, do you know about the 2 CPU cooler power sockets? One standard 8-pin and the other 4-pin listed as CPU power 2. I've not plugged in the second one since I didn't have it with the PSU. Any problems? Generally no. Pretty much all processors will run with just the 8-pin connected. The 4-pin will give you additional juice should you need it for higher end processors, but to be honest with you, most boards will run without it. In fact, a lot of boards will actually run with just the 4-pin connector connected. If you try it on an older power supply, you can just plug in the 4-pin one on 8-pin, and most boards will still boot. Boot even. Boot. That was very Canadian. Okay, Matthew Day says, racing game, let me at it. Yes, it is very, very good. It's very enjoyable. Alexa says, Linus looks homeless now. He does, unfortunately. See, look at this. All cleanly shaven for you guys tonight, and girls. Yeah. All that going on. Collect Tech Kev says they do make some nice stuff. Yes, they definitely do.
I thought you were amazing for a minute.
Skystorm says, oh, that's going to go badly. So yeah, I'm going to see what my schedule's like for next week, and then we'll arrange that. So there'll be another live stream at some point in next week before Saturday, because Saturdays are for talking tech and talking trash and all that kind of stuff that we do with you guys. But I am definitely want to do a live stream just for the giggles, and just so basically I can get drunk and maybe have some of you along for the ride, quite literally. So it should be fun. It's been manscaping again, yeah. Oh, those manscaping adverts. Anyway, let's not get carried away with who's manscaped what. I think it's pretty much time to wrap up this stream. You guys have been absolutely amazing all through, and we've been going for like 2 hours or more now, so that is fantastic.
We've got a discount code, haven't we, for it?
Oh yeah.
Because Kenny D says his is broken, he needs to replace.
Kenny D, before we go, Easy SMX, if you want to get a controller from them, there is a discount code, which is Mike15, which gives you 15% off. Who'd have thought it? So if you want to go to Easy SMX, use that discount code Mike15, you get 15% off your orders. I am going to be doing a review in the next couple of days, which will be going out possibly Monday or Tuesday. I'll put all the links for the discount codes and all that kind of stuff there, because they've been good to me and they've sent some actually pretty decent stuff. So, well, you'll find out more about that in the review. Anyway, thank you all for joining us tonight. It's been absolutely amazing, and we've absolutely crushed our previous best record of concurrent viewers. So I don't know what's happened tonight, but you guys are absolutely amazing, and thank you so much. It's been amazing. I'm kind of lost for words, a little bit choked up, so I'm gonna get the hell out. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Thank you all so much for the super chats. It means so much to us, and if you want to help support the channel, help support me and Kath, then yeah, patreon.com/mikesunboxing, and you can sign up and you get some free merch. So can't say fairer than that. With that said, let's knock this on the head. You guys have been great. If you've got any more questions about B450 motherboards, B450, B550, X570 or anything, you might even get an answer if you've got an Intel question, but I can't guarantee it. Join us over on the Discord and we can have a chat. Noob can answer, yeah, because he's an Intel freaky fanboy. So thanks all of you. Pens will be going out very shortly, and yeah, you guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and all that kind of other YouTubey stuff. And hopefully we'll see you all again next Saturday. Thanks for watching. This is the bit where I fumble around trying to find the end stream button again. I really need one of those devices that does it for you.